Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are doing really well today. So today's video is going to be another kind of savings related video, but today's video is going to be more on the property side of things. So I asked you over on my Instagram, which is at Hazel with X. I'll put it on the screen here for you if you want to give it a little follow. I asked you what sort of topics you'd like me to cover, and quite a few of you have asked me to cover the costs when moving out. And we're not talking about just the mortgage costs. We're actually talking about how much all the bills cost. Is there any unforeseen costs which I didn't anticipate? Just so you can get a feel for how much it's actually going to cost you when you do move out, or for people that have moved out already, but just to kind of give you an idea as to what I pay, just so you can compare if you like, or for people that are just a little bit nosy and interested and want to know what my outgoings are. So let's get straight on into the video. So if you've been here a little while now, then you'll know that I bought a new build flat. I got this in July 2018, so I've been in it quite a little while now, so I'm kind of getting to grips with all my bills and understanding how much things cost and the changes and fluctuations in my bills. And my house is a one-bed flat, so it's not a big property at all, and it is a new build, so you have to consider that the fees I'm going to be telling you are based on a new property, and new properties typically don't need as much heating, for example, because they're really well insulated. So the figures that I'm going to tell you aren't necessarily exactly what yours should be. Everyone is different, everyone uses different amounts of electricity and gas and all of that jazz, but I just thought I'd give you a little idea as to what it may cost you if you have a similar sort of house size. And I know a lot of my friends have two-bed houses and their fees are very similar to mine, just to let you know. So yeah, first off, I wanted to talk about gas and electricity. So with gas and electricity, this is something that I obviously knew about when I bought my flat, but I had no idea what they would cost me. I had no idea. And for me personally, I am with E.ON as my gas and electricity provider. It was who they provided to me when I first got the place, and I haven't actually changed since. I have looked on a website called sewage, which is really handy if you want to compare costs, but I have looked on there and actually they are currently the best rate for me. So it was £55 a month. It has actually recently dropped to £26 a month, which I know sounds ridiculous, but that's because I'm in credit, so I've managed to reduce my direct debit. But normally it is £55 a month for me. I would like to add though that I do work full-time, so I'm obviously not there during the day, and I do spend time at mine and at my partner's house, so I'm not there for a full week. I probably only spend half of the week there, and I'm not someone that has the heating on all the time either. I turn it off when I'm not there. I turn it off during the day when I'm at work, and I pop it on for a few hours in the evening. I don't sleep with the heating on or anything like that, so I don't use that much electricity, and that is why my bill is quite low. I know a lot of people can pay up to say £100 a month for this, so just be wary that yours may be a little bit more if you like putting that heating up, and obviously you're going to probably live there full time, whereas I don't. But yeah, mine is £55 a month, and the most it has ever been when I first got my place before I met Jordan was probably around £60 a month. So it's never been more than £60 a month for me. The next thing I'm going to talk about is phone and internet. So this isn't really something I considered, I guess, when I was moving out. I mean, I knew I was going to have to get internet, but I didn't know how much the internet cost. So my internet is with BT, and my internet package is £30 a month, and I don't actually have a phone. I do have a phone line built into my property, but I decided to not bother getting a phone, a house phone and anything like that. So I believe the package that I have is purely just internet based, and it doesn't include any calls or anything like that. I believe if I was to get a phone, that would cost me quite a lot of money. I'd be on the kind of standard tariff, whatever that is, but that for me provides me with unlimited internet, which is essential being a YouTuber. So yeah, the internet is around £30 a month, and to get that deal I had to sign up for an 18-month contract. So if you want to be on a shorter contract with providers, typically the cost will be more, whereas if you tie yourself in for a longer period of time, then typically the cost will be less. So that is something to consider depending on how long you want to be there, if you anticipate moving, because you don't want to tie yourself in, because once you're locked in, that is it. Sometimes you can move your contract over to your new property, but it is something to consider and research before you commit yourself, because you are signing a contract at the end of the day. So the next thing is going to be water and sewage. So this again is something I really didn't consider much at all before I moved out. I had no idea what the costs of this were going to be, and when you first get a new build you don't actually hear from your water and sewage providers for a very long time. I think I didn't hear from mine for about at least, I want to say 6 to 8 months, and I actually had to chase them to set this up. So I actually found this with a lot of my contracts. So with my gas and electricity I had the same problem. They didn't contact me for quite some time, so I was in debt because I hadn't obviously paid the first few months of moving into my place. So that is something that is kind of your responsibility, I guess, to make sure it's in place. They will eventually chase you, so it's not like you're doing anything wrong as such, because it's with them. The ball is in their court to set it up with you, but if it's a new build, that is. But ultimately, if you don't want to have yourself in a load of debt, then it's probably better to just get it sorted day one. For me personally, I didn't mind too much because I kind of wanted them first few months of having my property to have as much income as I could to start replenishing my savings. So I thought to myself, oh well, it's a couple of months of more money and then I can pay it back in a few months time. But when then a few months went by and I still hadn't heard from them, I thought it's probably about time I phone up and get that direct debit in place. So that is something to consider. But anyway, the costs of mine are: water is £23 a month and sewage is £12 a month, and the people that I'm with are based on where I live. So for me, I personally can't change my water and sewage providers. I don't think anyone can. I might be wrong, but I know that I can't. It's based on where I live, and I'm with Anglian Water, and I don't know about the sewage one, but I know I can't change it. So the next thing is going to be home building insurance, and home building insurance I don't need to pay. I have a flat, so with my flat I pay ground rent and service charge, and as part of that they actually pay for the building insurance. But if you have a house you will need to get buildings insurance, and the price of this varies. It can be a couple of £100 a year, so it's something to look into and to consider. It's another outgoing that you're going to have to pay for. Some people like to pay for these sort of things annually as a lump sum, so you haven't got that direct debit, whereas other people like to spread the cost and pay just £10–20 a month. So it's totally up to you and your affordability as to how you should pay that, really. But for me, I do have to pay contents insurance, and my contents insurance is £140 a year currently, and I believe I've set that for around a £40,000 sum. So if anything went wrong I can claim up to £40,000, I believe. So the cost of that again is going to vary based on the area you live in, how big your property is, the amount of cover you want, but I pay £140 and I pay that annually. And then another thing is going to be the ground rent and service charge, like I mentioned. So with a flat you have ground rent and service charge, and I believe, I always get them mixed up, but I believe the ground rent is just for the greenery and all of that. And that's the lower cost, whereas the service charge I believe is for the flat block, because houses can also have a ground rent, I think, but I get them mixed up, so hopefully I'm not wrong there. But anyway, mine combined are about £135 a month. You can pay them as a lump sum, but I pay mine monthly because obviously that's a massive sum to pay up front. But yeah, mine are about £130 a month, and that's on top of my mortgage cost. So that is quite a high amount to consider. So again, not really something I considered too much when buying my flat. I knew it was going to be a cost, but I didn't really think about it that much. The next thing is going to be council tax. So my council tax personally is £88 a month, and that is with the single person's discount. So if you live alone, you can apply for a single person's discount. You have to contact your local council to get this applied. I believe it's a 25% discount, and for my council tax I pay mine every single month for 12 months a year. Some people pay theirs for 10 months of the year. I believe the default position is just to pay your council tax for 10 months. But I personally wanted to spread the cost over 12 months to make the monthly outgoing a little less, because I'd rather just have a consistent outgoing than to have 2 months a year with no council tax but pay more for the other 10 months. So that is the route that I preferred to go down. And then the next outgoing I have is income protection. And some people also have life insurance, which I don't have, so I'm going to touch upon them quickly as well. So income protection is to protect your income in the event of something happening. So for example, say I wasn't able to work for say 6 months to a year because God forbid something happens, but say you're in an accident or you have an illness or something happens to you where you're unable to work and you've been signed off sick by the doctors. I have income protection, and the limit that I've set myself I believe is £1,800 a month, because I thought to myself, if I am unable to work, £1,800 a month comfortably covers all my bills and a little bit more for me. So I wanted an amount that was really comfortable, an amount that I wouldn't struggle with if I really needed to use it in the future. So The amount of income protection you get per month if you were to claim will determine the premium that you're paying alongside your health as well. So if you do have underlying health conditions, then you may be paying more for your premium than someone who's completely fit and healthy. Your age will also determine it as well. The cost of insurance premiums is all based on loads and loads of different factors, you know, your health, your age, all them things, because it's the risk to the insurance company. So the higher risk they think you are, the more expensive the premium is going to cost, because it's the more likely they think it's going to be to pay out for you, if that makes sense. So anyway, mine will pay out if something happens, and it will pay out until age 65, because I wanted mine to pay out until way past my mortgage was paid off. If, for example, something happened and I could never work again, I wanted to make sure I was completely covered. It's obviously very, very unlikely, but I feel like it is really important to make sure we are covered in these events, because, you know, it's just better to be safe than sorry, isn't it, at the end of the day? And you wouldn't want to lose your beautiful home that you work really hard to achieve. So that's why I wanted to opt for that. And with my insurance policy, I actually have a payout of, I believe, 1 month, so I'd only have to be off work for 1 month and then it starts paying out, whereas some have a deferral periods of much longer, meaning you'd have to be off work for say 3 months before it pays out. But anyway, the cost of this for me is £30 a month, so I don't think that's that bad actually at all. £30 a month to protect myself if something happened to me, I'm completely comfortable paying that. And the other type of insurance you could pay is life insurance or critical illness cover, and this is typically if you have a partner. So for example, if you were buying a house with say your boyfriend or girlfriend, then if something happened to you, they might not be able to afford to pay it anymore. So if you have a life insurance policy, it will pay out a lump sum in the event of your death, and then you can write that policy in trust to that person to make sure they benefit from that payout of the insurance policy. And that just means they have a nice lump sum of money to say pay off the mortgage and to get them by during this real difficult time. Critical illness has the same concept, but it pays out in the event of a critical illness, and it all depends on the definitions with the insurance company. So make sure that they are definitely covering you for the things you want to be covered for. If you do take out one of these policies, typically these policies can cost, completely varies, but it can be anywhere between £10 a month to say £100 a month, or even more depending on your current situation. But that's something else to consider. If you're buying with a partner, then it is recommended to also take out life insurance each. I know one of my friends has life insurance each and also income protection, and it's around £100 a month for everything for the two of them. So they are my age as well though, so it totally depends on your situation. But just another thing to look into, another thing to perhaps contact an insurance broker and to get a quote on before getting your mortgage, just so you know all of the costs you're going to be incurring every single month once you get that mortgage. And then another thing is food. So my food bill varies and it really does depend, but I have found that on a real budget week I can spend £25 a week on food, and that will be enough. This is if I was shopping at Aldi, and this is if I'm food prepping and eating pretty healthy and pretty blandly, you know, having lots of pastas and rices and things like that, and just meat. And that's without much fruit. Obviously the cost can massively jump up if you're buying lots of fruit, because fruit is pretty expensive. If you're buying veg, if you're buying say gluten-free, dairy-free alternatives. My food bill has gone up to £60 in a week, but that will be a week for me and Jordan together, which is still £30 a week each if you split the bill. So I would say around £25 to £30 for a single person for your food each week, and that will be a nice amount to get you by each week. You're not, you know, you've got a nice amount of food, lots of variety. So there are the costs that I incur every single month. On top of them costs, I have my phone contract as well. I did actually buy my phone outright this time round because I really didn't want to have to keep paying out £55 a month for a phone. I believe even £60 a month I think I was paying for my last one. So my phone contract is just £23 a month, which is actually pretty good. Although I know I could get that down, so I do need to get on it and try and reduce that soon, because I'd like to be paying even less than that. I also pay out for Spotify as well. I think Spotify is £10 a month. Again, I know you can get a phone contract with Spotify built into it, so that's something I need to look into myself, because with Virgin, I think it's about £20 a month or £23 a month for Spotify, and the same package I'm on at the moment with Tesco's. So that is something I need to do actually ASAP. So that is going to be on my to-do list after this video. And then I also pay out for Netflix, which again is not an essential, but that is about £10 a month for Netflix. And other than that, I think that's all of my outgoings related to my house. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. I hope it kind of gave you an idea as to the sort of costs you may incur when moving out in addition to your mortgage, because you often think, oh, my mortgage is however much it is, yeah, that's affordable, I can do this. But you actually need to think about every single thing that you're going to be paying out for, and can I definitely afford it all? So yeah, I really hope you found this helpful, and do give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed watching, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye guys. The battery's about to die.